I am your host, formerly known as The Locks That Rocks, and this is the official podcast of Rocklahoma, Surviving Rocklahoma. And we are giving you a little preview, a little taste before Rocklahoma season from one of the artists that's going to be playing that weekend, a friend that we have spoken to several times over the years. Give a shout out to our man, Tim Montana.
Hey, thanks for having me, Adam.
Absolutely, bud. Man, it is always good to catch up with you. The first time you were playing the country scene and played one of the first Born and Raised, and then came back to rock out at Rocklahoma, and now you'll be back for your second Rocklahoma. Tell me a little bit about how rock music, the rock genre, has been for you.
I finally found my tribe after all these years. I never quite fit in, and in the Nashville scene, I was too loud. I cussed too much. My guitar was too loud. My beard is too long. A little too unruly. And then I get to rock, and they're like, "Where you been, buddy?" So grateful to be welcomed by such an amazing community and being able to be the artist that I am, uncensored, unfiltered, sing songs about real things, and also try to help people with music, sing about my struggles, and hopefully help people with theirs. This year's redemption for Rocklahoma for me. You remember what happened last year or 2 years ago?
I I thought I heard everything. No, I missed this one. What's up?
I walked on stage and the tornado siren went off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw you're out there on the farmland, so I know you know a thing or two about
Yeah, so I've done Born to
weather.
Raise, and I did all the interviews, all the press, and I literally am stretching. My walk-on song's going. I'm so pumped. I flew in crew from Nashville, Montana, rental cars, hotels, get there, and as I run out, literally running on stage, please evacuate, seek shelter. I thought it was a joke because the skies were blue. 20 minutes later, the skies just opened up, and I was like, oh my God, I almost played Rocklahoma.
Oh, oh my gosh. Well, we're gonna have to go extra big for this one then.
I know.
So, and you've actually got some new stuff to feature that you know what, maybe, it was just we weren't ready for Tim Montana, but this year you're bringing in some heavy hitters for your new single.
Yeah, so the new record comes out July 31st. I've got the craziest list of features ever. Let me start with the first voice on my new album that you're going to hear. Who do you think the first voice is? I'll give you three guesses. It's not me. There's your first clue.
Well, I'm good with Southern rock and Southern soul, and I did peep the new single. I feel a little ZZ Top influence in there.
He's on there, but the first voice, if you spin my album July 31st, is Martin Sheen that you'll hear on my album doing the intro with Charlie Sheen and Robert Patrick. They wrote a skit to open up my album to welcome everyone to the entire state of Tim, Montana.
Oh my gosh. How did that come together? Is that something you pitched to them, or they just
Char,
you've got such a crazy story about meeting people you want to work with.
yeah. So Charlie Sheen's become a good friend over the years, directed my music video that got me my record deal. In his new autobiography, if you go to the back to the thank yous, he said, I'd like to thank the entire state of Tim, Montana. He made that up as a joke for his book, and it's published in his book. So I read that and said, dude, I've got to name my record this because I couldn't figure out a record name. And the record has fun songs, sad songs, cover songs. I felt like it was my entire state, my mental state, whatever state I'm in. We covered a lot of it on this album. So we called the album that, and I said, Charlie, would you just record an intro on your iPhone that says, Welcome to the entire state of Tim, Montana? And he goes, No, that's kind of lame. Let me write an actual skit and and I said, Well, Robert Patrick's up in Montana doing 1923. Maybe he wrote this courtroom skit. And so he said, Dude, Robert could be the prosecutor. And then we said, Who's going to be the judge? And Charlie said, Dude, we should have my dad do it. And I kind of paused and I was like, Oh, wow, your dad. That's not any run of the mill dad, right? So
Right?
Martin Sheen is the first audio that you will hear if you put my record on vinyl or stream it. When you hear the courtroom intro, it's called the first voice. Order, order. Proceed, Mr. Higgins, is Martin Sheen.
You know, back when I and everybody used to buy all of the CDs and stuff off of BMG and the mail-in orders and stuff, that's when you really pop one into the car and you listen beginning to end, and you find the little skits sometimes and bonus content in between.
Yeah. So it ended up accidentally, like I didn't have Martin slated as a feature or Robert. I'd hoped that Charlie would do something, but then as we go on, I kind of had a list in my head of features, and it was all my heroes from my childhood, not knowing that I was going to get a lot of my 90s acting heroes, right? You got the Terminator 2, the T-1000, Charlie Sheen, Martin Sheen. Then you go on and we have Billy Gibbons, Slash, Jerry Cantrell. So the features on this record are stacked. And, everyone's like, so did you have other features you were shooting for? And I'm like, no, that was it. And I didn't think any of them were possible, let alone adding Robert Patrick and Martin Sheen to the list. I didn't know that was doable. And I thought I'd either get Slash or Jerry Cantrell. And I got Slash and Jerry Cantrell and Billy Gibbons. So pretty crazy that all of them agreed to play on some dude from a single wide trailer house in Montana's record.
That is awesome. So how does something like that, if you can't give away trade secrets, I get it, but kind of like me landing this interview, you just kind of hit up the PR people and just kind of hope they say, "Oh, okay, we'll give you some time."
Yeah, yeah. Or the Instagram message helps. I was like, I remember you.
That's
So,
awesome.
just, I do have to give a shout out. Billy Gibbons has been the major connector for me for the last 10 years. So he gave me Cantrell's phone number, and Cantrell said on an interview. And then I went to tour with Jerry, and that had nothing to do with Billy. That was part of the Bush tour. So it was me, Candlebox, Jerry Cantrell, and Bush. So I met him, but Jerry said in an interview, he goes, yeah, I get a text from this Tim Montana guy. And he goes, I'll tell you what, if anyone on planet Earth other than Billy Gibbons gave out my phone number, we'd have problems. So Billy connected me with Jerry, but then I met Jerry, so that was kind of meant to be, right? Because that tour was random that I got on that. And then Billy definitely introduced me to Slash at his birthday party, and I got to play with Slash and meet him. And then I covered Brown Sugar, which is out right now, by the 1971 from what album was that from? ZZ Top's first album. And covered that. Billy's on it, and then he called Slash and said, "Get a hold of Tim." And Slash sent me a text one day and said, "Hey man, I heard you covered Brown Sugar. Billy Gibbons asked me to play on it. I'm in." And I thought to myself, he hasn't even heard it. He was just in because Billy said to play on it. So it just kind of shows, though, cool kudos to Slash of like recognizing Billy and his legacy. And if Billy says, "Hey man, play on a song," of course Slash is like, "I kept it. You
Yeah.
are one of the last godfathers of rock and roll."
And then you're just sitting here and it's like, "Oh my God, I made this happen." Yeah,
Yeah, that group text makes me nervous. Anytime it lights up, I'm like, "Oh God, what do I? Let me check my punctuation."
I did give that brown sugar a sample, and I sent it to some of my friends whenever I was saying, "Hey, guess who I get to talk to?" And man, that single starts out, man, it's sexy.
Yeah, and that intro, Billy wasn't going to play that part. He sent that to me to show me how to play it correctly. And he goes, "You play too fast, kid. You need to sit down and listen to this." And he played it for me. And he's like, "All right, now you redo it." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, sir. I cannot redo that. That is the coolest shit I've ever heard. You just did that one take. Your jewelry's vibrating in the background. It's so authentic and so rock and roll. I am not going to replace that. That would be a rock and roll travesty."
I love that, man. Yeah, it had me hooked, and I've always, you can't love rock without appreciating at least a little bit of blues, and I feel a lot of that southern rock come into it as well. And as I mentioned before, we talked at Born and Raised, so you've got a lot of history there in the country scene, but it just the way it came together like a perfect recipe, and man, Slash on that, whew, that's awesome.
Yeah, so good. So
So you've got that thing coming out here, July 31st, and that's not all of it. Is there any videos or any kind of new drops that we can anticipate?
Yeah, we're gonna sneak something out here right after the 4th of July. My favorite feature on this album, I grew up near the Salish Kootenai and Blackfoot Indian Reservation, and I would go there and dance in powwows when I was a kid. And some of my first memories of music were listening to Native Americans and listening to their stories and watching their traditions and this and that. So I've had a childhood dream of collaborating, and it all came to a head in the capital, Montana. I got an award from the governor's office for cinema and music statewide, and they gave a guy from the Crow Reservation, they gave him an award named Sean Backbone. And so I started talking to him and I said, man, I really want to collaborate with natives. Been a lifelong dream of mine. So he invited me to the Crow Reservation in Montana, where I met a singer by the name of First Crazy Dog and a young drum group by the name of Wolf Bear. And so I started talking with these kids, and they had to go get permission from the tribe to leave the res to go to the studio in Billings. So I brought I think there were about 12 of them in the studio and all their drums, and it was really cool. We prayed beforehand, smudged, and made this song that my label was kind of like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Trust me, just let me go do this." And so I just went and did it on my own and brought them in. And then they heard the song. They're like, "You have to go shoot a video." So then I went back to the tribe, got permission from the council to come on to the Crow Reservation, which famously has the Little Bighorn River. And the Battle of the Little Bighorn was fought there against Custer and the 7th Cavalry. So we filmed right where Sitting Bull had his sweat lodge, literally right there where he had the vision of killing Custer back in the day. And so they came out with all their regalia. We were able to showcase Crow Agency Montana. And it was important to me because I grew up really rough in a trailer house with an outhouse. Unfortunate, went through a lot of child abuse. And unfortunately, on our reservations, there's a lot of teen suicide and poverty. That was the connection, right? And the song's called Watch Me Drown. And it's kind of talking about the oppression that the Native Americans went through, and how I draw lines of like my childhood to similar stuff like that, right? So it was important for me to showcase the Native voices. They're singing in Crow, they're drumming with their war drums, and it brought a lot of hope and inspiration. And my hope is that music saved me. Maybe music can save some of these kids that don't have a great life on the res. And also, bring their voices. I haven't heard a song with native voices. I don't know if I've ever heard one that was a commercial song. So I'm so excited to feature these guys and getting everything set up for them. And when you see the video, it'll blow your mind. It's so magical, spiritual. And now, whenever I leave Montana, I stop on the Crow Res and we pray. And even before the tour with Alter Bridge, we smudged. And every time I go through the res, I see something weird. Like I saw a bison pawing a crucifix. And I call them and I'm like, "Are you guys messing with me?" They're like, "Good medicine, brother." And so I'm pretty sure they're messing with me every time I go there, because every time we pray or do something with them, I see strange things about 2 hours later. So I feel like we're on to something really good. But that is definitely to me the most powerful song on the record. I played it live on the whole Alter Bridge tour, and people went bananas because I have the tracks of the war chants in the background. And I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to showcase my friends from Crow Agency Montana. And the Crow Nation is here tonight." So, yeah, it's really cool.
Oh my gosh, that is so freaking beautiful. And as a proud Native American myself of the Cherokee tribe, and it's always so powerful whenever you get into the spiritual setting, because us natives, we always do our best to be as hospitable as possible, but also demonstrating and showing folks how to go about the old ways and such. And but
Yeah.
when they get into that frame of mind, the power that resonates, I can't wait to see this
Yeah.
thing,
And
man.
that's another thing that fascinated me is like, unfortunately, a lot of these tribes live in like really bad poverty. But when it comes time for traditions and they put on the regalia, there's some beautiful sense of pride, right? That you can't emulate that. You can't describe that unless you see that. They're coming out of these trailers that are just really bad, and they're very broke, and a lot of
Hmm.
bad things happening. But when they get on their regalia and they learn their native tongue and they start singing, it's like, wow, it's going to be okay. Or what do they say? It chick bashajik. I'm saying that wrong, but they're
Hmm.
trying to teach me a bunch of crow words. Shinnik, kahe, it chick bashajik. If you do that, that's everything's awesome. But the crow do a lot of sign language with it, and I was doing that. Everyone would go nuts when I did it. War cries, and so I've had a lot of fun on the crow res, and it was such an honor for them to allow me to come on there and express art with them, make art with them, and yeah. So shout out to First Crazy Dog, Wolf Bear, and all my friends in Crow Agency.
Oh my gosh. Now, did how many times did they teach you the curse words before they taught you the real words?
I don't know, but it was funny. There was an elder there, and he was a veteran. That's another thing. A lot. This is kind of cool that the song's coming out on America's 250th, because without the native tribes, like I have news for people, they were here first, and despite the history, natives are the number one minority per capita to serve in the U.S. military, which I think that's an important fact on America's 250th. And they've been here for thousands and thousands of years before we got here. Um, but I'm sitting with one of the elders, and he's wearing his veteran hat. And he goes, let's smoke some Ajay. And I'm like, oh, thinking it was going to be some like sweetgrass or something. And it's like 10 a.m. in the morning, and they're all like, Ajay. And then I'm like, what's Ajay? And they're like, weed. And I'm like, I'm not getting stoned at 10 a.m. I've got a video to make.
Wait till you get to Rocklahoma, buddy. We're going to take care of Tim Montana out there. We'll show you
Now
how
they're
us
trying
Cherokees
they're
do it.
they're trying to desperately get me to get in the sweat lodge. And I have some reservations about getting butt naked, and they showed me one, and it was really low off the ground. Like you had to crawl in there. And I'm like, so me and you and 12 other dudes are crawling in there naked? And they're like, yeah. And my friend Spearfisher, I was like, I don't really want to see you naked. And he goes, well, don't look at it then.
And it's times like that you learn how we become so stoic. You just
Yeah.
don't look.
Just don't look down.
Don't look down. Always look to the future.
Yeah.
So, that's freaking awesome, dude. And I love that, in what you do, you're exposed to so many different cultures as well. And because anytime you touch a different culture, you take a lot of it. I watch a lot of Anthony Bourdain videos
Yeah. Yeah.
when I binge watch. And I got to always imagine that that's always one of the best parts of living so much on the road.
Right. Right. Yeah. I do. I'm like very try to be as culturally like to take it all in, right?
Mhm.
If I go to a town, I look up what's this town known for? What should I see and what do they eat? Right? And where's like the local bar where the locals hang, not the tourist spots. And I used to get so mad at my band members because I'd be like, all right, guys, this is the most, for instance, most famous cheeseburger in Indiana, right? And someone would go there and order chicken strips and it'd fucking piss me off. I'm like, we are doing what the locals do. But yeah, that's my favorite part of travel. As I was fortunate enough to go to the United Kingdom this year and then into Ireland, and I just wanted to, just fully submerge myself in the cultural experience. What did we eat in England? This and that. By the time it was over, I was really tired of meat and potatoes, but it was cool.
You did bring up a funny thing about the eating. I understand that you've also taken a adventure into the restaurant venture, correct?
Yeah, so I'm sitting here, which I'm, like I said, I'm fascinated by the Old West native culture. I'm sitting here in Wise River, Montana, in the Big Hole River Valley, and we bought a bar that oral history dates it back to 1896 as a stagecoach stop. And then the hotel was built sometime around 1911. And I bought it with Billy Gibbons. We're probably 30 or 40 miles from where Chief Joseph and the Nez Perce fought Colonel Gibbon, singular, not Gibbons. It wasn't one of Billy's relatives, I promise. But rich history here with the Old West, mining, and the Nez Perce, Shoshone, and Blackfeet shared this valley because there were so many fish and elk and moose and animals that this was their piece. They didn't fight here, right? This was like, they believe this was a blessing. So this goes way back in Native American history as well. So I got to have a little piece of the Old West, and we're currently restoring an old cabin. We're moving it today. We're restoring the old school hotel upstairs, and one of my Blackfeet friends brought down a bunch of totem poles to put up front. So we got the whole front done with totem poles, trying to represent as many tribes as we can. And then at some point, once we get the grass to grow, we're going to put up a bunch of lodges or teepees.
That is amazing. And where is this at?
Wise River, Montana. So we're 38 miles south of Butte, between Butte and Dillon. but it's at the convergence of the Wise River and the Big Hole River, which is a super historic trout fishing area. Again, mining, cowboys, all that stuff. You know, natives way back before that. They've even found remnants of the Clovis people up here, which I think is natives that date back like 12,000 years. They don't know what tribe or what they were. They just know they were here and arrowheads and all kinds of stuff.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I could go on forever about that. I'm such a history nut. Like I do a lot of stuff, but I have to have something playing in the background. So I love to throw documentaries and all of that cool
Same,
stuff.
same. I'm the same way. I love the Old West, and I'm working with the Montana Historical Society, and they come over here all the time. And it's a really, you know, studying history is a better understanding of the future, right?
Absolutely.
So
Those are, if you don't, you're doomed to repeat it. So,
yeah,
um, with the understanding you've got so much and you've already got yourself an established career as it is, tell me a little bit about what's on the horizon for you.
yeah, man, getting this record out. We're out with Alter Bridge. Become really good friends. Miles Kennedy's the one that put me in that circle. And then I'm working with Creed a little bit too. So I've got Daughtry coming up July 9th. Then I'm with Creed in Shakopee, Minnesota, Creed and Bush. We go play a festival in Spokane, which is really cool with Macklemore. So we're doing a lot of one-offs, prepping the record. And it's funny when I'm not on the road, I'm up here working, and my band jokes that I'm the only guy on earth that goes on tour to relax, and I drive the bus. I drive the bus 100% of the time with the trailer, but it's more relaxing than the constant calls and employees, and they're digging up stuff in the septic tank. We had a pump go out in the sewer the other night, and at 11:30 at night, I was finally like, you know what? I saw the plumber do this. I'm just gonna do it. And I grabbed the pump and pulled it out of the septic, and my buddy's about throwing up. And he's like, "Damn, son, you're getting adjusted up here." But yeah, just fixing up this bar restaurant, making music, man, raising the kids. Me and Billy Gibbons have a hot sauce company as well called Whisker. So we're in that side selling hot sauce, barbecue sauce, and then developing some new products for the Wise River Club this year as well. So
Well, I tell you what, you and I, we may need to link up in the radio booth at Rocklahoma. We'll do hot ones to some of those hot sauce. We'll give that a shot.
yeah, I'll have to bring it down, man, for sure. That'd be awesome.
And I'll have the wife have some fry bread ready so that you feel
Oh,
like you're at
dude.
home while you're down there.
First Crazy Dog's mom, I told my film crew, I'm like, we're gonna employ as many, we're not bringing in outside catering. We're gonna employ as many crow people as we can so that they can, you know, be a part of this. But First Crazy Dog hired his mom and they did fry bread. Oh, so good.
Changes your life, buddy, and your waistline.
Oh
So
yeah.
you gonna be swinging through Rocklahoma Labor Day weekend? Are you thinking you're going to get a chance to hang out in the campgrounds a little bit and see
I
what
might,
take in the
man.
local?
I'm a man of the people, so I like going around saying hi to folks and yeah, I'm really excited. And like I said, just getting that redemption of that was maybe my biggest bummer I can remember in recent years was running out on that stage so jacked to play and then canceling it. I went back, I shame slopped back to the hotel and was
Oh my
just
gosh.
pouted in my hotel room all night.
Well, I tell you what, we've actually got a stage going in the campgrounds that some of the campsites are putting on. So, worst case scenario, we've got a place for you to play if that happens. But
Thanks. Great.
all righty, buddy. Well, I know you are very busy and you've got a whole lot of work going. And before I let you go, I like to give my guests a couple of minutes to directly look at the screen and talk to their fans, the audience who's watching this video or might be about to blow their taste buds away with some hot sauce. Tell them a little bit what's on your mind, Tim Montana.
Man, I'm just fortunate to be making music, and we just hit the top 20 at 41 years old. It's my third time touching that. So I just hope to inspire people, kids out there, like don't give up on your dreams. And I'm living proof and testament of that. That work hard, and it can pay off. It might take a minute. My back hurts, but I thought it'd be different in my 20s with strippers and stuff. And now I got four kids and a wife. I'm like, well, there's a reason it happened now. But just so blessed and fortunate to be doing what I'm doing for a living, and so grateful for all the fans I have out there and people that make this possible. Without them, it would not be possible. Without our men and women of the armed forces, this would not be possible. So thank you to everyone that gives me the right and freedom to rock and roll.
Absolutely. I don't think there's anything else I could add to that. Tim Montana, thank you so much for your time. We are so looking forward to seeing you at Rocklahoma. And I don't know about anyone else, but I'm about to go throw you on my Spotify and hit repeat. Can't wait to see that
Awesome, brother.
video, buddy.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Until next time, folks, I am your host of the official podcast of Rocklahoma, Adam Richmond, and you are surviving Rocklahoma. Rock on.